Hey guys, welcome to another great week. Our passage is found in John chapter 8. We're going to look this week, all week, John chapter 8 in the I am statement, I am the light of the world. This passage, this statement, Jesus, John chapter 8 verse 12, comes on the heels of John chapter 7, where Jesus is celebrating at the Feast of Tabernacles, one of the most important festivals of the Jewish faith. They would come to the temple, they would come and worship 7 days of sacrifice and of celebration, where they would live in tents. They would make these temporary tents or booths to celebrate and to remind themselves of how God had brought the nation of Israel out of Egypt and out of slavery, and how in the wilderness they slept in these tents. And so they were there to celebrate, and there would be a point where they would come together and they would be petitioning God and praying out, God, come save us, and praying for a Messiah. And they would come in and they would offer a drink offering, a water offering. And as the priest would get ready to offer that, in John chapter 7, Jesus stands up and he says, anyone who is thirsty, come to me, and they would be satisfied. Then he stands up and he begins to make these incredible, just mind-blowing claims that you and I can't even process. Make these claims about who he is, that he is God. He's not just another guy. And we talked about last week, he's not just another guy. He's not a dude. He's not your homeboy. He's not your BFF. That he is God. And he makes this claim in John 7 that if anyone in this festival would come to him, that they would have their thirst filled. And it blew people's mind to the point that the high priest wanted him arrested. They began to argue with the temple police. Why didn't you arrest him? They would go, dude, nobody has ever talked this way. Nobody's ever done stuff like this. What if he's really right? What if he's the Messiah? And there was this dissension and confusion among people about what they thought about who he was and all this that was going on. And it was on the heels of that Jesus then comes around and says, I am the light of the world. That he comes and says, I'm the light of the world. Anyone who would believe in me would never walk in darkness. You see, in Jesus was life. John chapter 1 says that in Jesus was life, that he was the Word put on flesh, moved into the neighborhood, and that in him was life, and that life was the light of all the world. And so he comes in and says, listen, I'm the light of the world. I am the presence of God among you. That you don't have to look beyond me to see what God is like, to see what he's about. You can see it, you can find it in me. You don't have to look beyond me for satisfaction, because it's found in me. And anyone who would believe in me will have that life. No longer will they walk in darkness. And so as we consider this passage today, as we look the rest of this week, I want to encourage you to take inventory of your own life. Are you walking in the light, or are you walking in darkness? Has there been a point in your life, a moment in time, where you've begun to believe in Jesus as the light of the world? Now, there's no such thing as always being a Christian. It doesn't matter if you were baptized on day 1, day 7. It doesn't matter if you've always gone to church, if you were like my son in church while you were in the womb. There's no such thing as I've always been a Christian. But that if there has been a time in your life, a moment in time, where you have come to understand that you are a sinner in need of forgiveness, and that you've confessed to God your sin, asked for his forgiveness, not on the basis of something you've done, not on the basis of something you've accomplished, something you believe about yourself, but instead based on your belief in Jesus as the Word made flesh, who lived a sinless, perfect life for 33 years, and then by no fault of his own was made to go through a series of monkey court trials where person after person gave false testimony about him, where he was then mocked and beaten, made to carry a cross cut from a tree that he pulled up out of the ground, up a hill that he formed, to a place called Golgotha, where he was hung and murdered on a cross by the very people he came to save, not as a victim, but as a willing sacrifice to pay a price you and I never could. If there's never been a moment in your life where you've confessed that, asked God to forgive you of your sins, then man, you're walking in darkness. That you don't have the life that Jesus offers. You may go to church, you may do good things, you may serve, you may go on mission, you may sing songs, but if there's never been a time where you've come to believe that, you're walking in darkness. You are not a Christian. You may like Christ things, but you're not a Christian. And so friend, listen, with all that I am, the reason I do this is to encourage you, to say, let that time be today. Let it be this morning. Let it be tonight. Whenever you're watching this, let this be the time, because the God of creation loves you so much, he's made it possible for you to know him and be in relationship with him, for you to no longer walk in darkness, but to walk in light. So let today be the day. Our memory verse this week is John chapter 8, verse 12. Memorize it, own it, let it encourage you to come into relationship with God, and then to go and change the world. I love you guys. We'll talk to you soon.